It's WWDC25 day. I'm Greg McMillan. Welcome to the iPhoneography podcast. And we are not going to cover everything about the new iOS that they talked about on the keynote today, but we're going to try to focus more, play on words there, focus more on the photography side of things, or basically anything photo or video related, maybe. We do have a couple of cool things to talk about, but before we do that, I'll bring in these guys. Hey, Dave. Hey, Dwight. How you doing?
Hey,
Greg. Hey, Dave.
Well, you mean we're not going to talk about the karaoke ability on Apple TV?
No, we won't talk about that one. Because I don't know about you guys, but I can't sing.
Oh, no.
Prove it.
And if I...
Prove it. Come on, D.
You'll just
flat.
have to trust me on that one. You'll just have to trust me on that one. Anyway, so you guys both obviously had a chance to see the keynote, did you?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because I know with Dwight, it's like at 10 o'clock in the morning for you when it comes on. So, but anyway, I watched it and I put my phone on Do Not Disturb when it's on. So I, get the least amount of interruptions, and the dogs didn't even bug me or nothing. So that's good. But anyway, I have it on my iPhone 15 Pro Max.
Ooh.
I'll turn my screen brightness down a little.
Yeah, I see. You have the giant numbers, as the numbers dynamically
I put the
change.
Photo.
Yeah, per the photo.
Yep. So now the screen's locked. It's going to change. I got it set every time it locks to change the wallpaper. So now I put it to this one, and if I lock it again, it's going to change to a different one.
Oh,
and
that's cool.
I selected just nature photos out of my photos library.
Right.
So I really don't know what all is going to come up. But yes, the numbers, they dynamically change to suit the wallpaper, I guess you could say. And I don't have any widgets on there other than the two in the bottom for the camera and the flashlight. Just because I haven't really played around with that part of it too much. But initial thoughts, like, okay, first of all, I will say this. It seems like the leaks were just about dead set accurate.
Yeah.
You find that?
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't really anything too unexpected photography-wise. There were certain things maybe I just wasn't paying, literally like the karaoke, which I wasn't going to pay attention to beforehand anyway, that was like, oh, that's a neat feature. A couple things that were nice, but nothing that was like, oh my goodness, I can't believe, especially, like you said, especially camera-wise, nothing that really popped out that I saw there.
Yeah. Yeah. No surprises to the naming change. Everything is 26 now. And I've seen some people online say, well, why 26? This is 2025. It's because most of the year that version will be used in will be in 2026. The iOS 26 and macOS 26, all that stuff doesn't come out till the fall. It's like how they used to do cars when you buy a new car. You bought a new car in September of 1981. It was an 82 model. That's that sort of thing, right? So no surprise there. No surprise with the look that it had, but it's really glassy looking. And I've got some screenshots. Let's start with a couple of lock screens. And let me see. Now, this is like an impromptu live broadcast of the show, and I'm going to be messing around with screenshots and all this stuff, just because it's, we were not as prepared for this show as we have been for the ones in the past. But and it's going to be put out as soon as hopefully before I go to bed tonight. I'm going to put the audio version out. You don't have to wait till Wednesday like you usually do. Next week we'll get back to our regularly scheduled time and everything else. So this is the screenshot, or this is a screenshot of the lock screen, and you can see the date and that, and it is translucent. It looks like glass, has that reflective edge, that sort of thing. That's just one of them. This is another one. Now, we were just talking about how the clock changes dynamically with the in a photo wallpaper like this. So it's gotten bigger, and but it still has that glassy look, which is cool. But here's something that's it's kind of been rumored, and now it's here, and nobody really knew how it was going to look. But what do you see there? At the top of the screen, above the clock.
Oh, the
50.
the time to charge.
Yeah. So all the speculation that I saw was that it was going to be down at the bottom between the two icons on the bottom of the screen. Well, it turns out it's up here, and it only shows up for a second, and then it goes away. So I had to be quick with that screenshot. But when you plug your phone in, or even when you just lock the screen, or actually when you wake the screen, it's there for not even a full second, like it's like half a second maybe, just to kind of give you a little hint of how much time you've got left to charge your phone. And I'm sure, that could evolve over time, because this is like day one of the initial developer beta, but it's the darn thing's not bad. It's pretty solid. It's pretty solid. I'm not suggesting to anyone that they put it on their iPhone.
No.
Especially if it's your daily driver. This is a second phone. I don't even have a SIM card in it, so this is my play phone that I can use to play around with stuff. So my 16 Pro Max, it's here with iOS 18.5 still on it. And my Mac, I am not touching that. It's not going beta, nothing. I learned my lesson on that one. I had to take it in to get the official Apple repair guy to put the new OS on it and everything else, because I had done something to screw it up. I have no idea. Actually, it was a beta issue that messed it up. Anyway, so as far as the looks go, the glassy look. Let me get to another screenshot. This is my home screen. Let me see here. So there's my home screen. Again, throughout the keynote, they said whenever they talked about the interface, like the user interface of this new iOS, that it's going to be very familiar in a lot of ways, and it is. The clock icon, though, as you can see, has hour, minute, and second hands, and I think it used to be like that, and then I think they took it away, and now it's actually working like that again. But everything's so glassy looking. They just put layers of, it's almost like layers of glass on top of each other to make up these icons. They're really cool. But there's also, you can change them to, and I don't think I got a screenshot of it. You can change them to clear, to look clear.
Yeah, I was going to ask how, because the shots they show on the screen looking clear, it looks cool.
Yeah,
but
let me do one here,
okay.
And I'll take a screenshot and I'll bring it up,
because I know a lot of people, you look for the color to know what the app is. In addition to, the text on it, you're like, oh, like news is red, that, or music is that darker red, So that's part of the visual clues.
This is like the tinting, right? This is kind of like how it was with the tinting, and except they're more translucent, I guess you could say. So let me see if I could do this real quick here. I'm going to,
because it definitely seems it would help.
Oops.
You can actually more emphasize the wallpaper you have.
Yeah.
Because you're not blocking the wallpaper with all the icons.
Right. Okay. Hide that and then go like that. Now, and you know what? I'm not even going to edit the audio on this podcast, because I just don't want to take the time to do that. But so there it is with clear. Everything's just clear and glassy looking. But one thing that really caught my eye was the fact that there is a new camera icon. Now let me go back to here.
Oh, it almost looks like raw power.
Or aperture.
Yeah.
Which raw power came from aperture, really. So yeah, because I was looking, I had reflex down there, and I thought, okay, well, if I'm going to be playing with this camera app for a while, I might as well put it back down in the dock. And I was looking for it, and I couldn't find it. And when I was going around on the home screen, I kept thinking, oh, that's Camera Plus. No, what's Camera Plus doing there? That's not Camera Plus. Because it kind of resembles that if you look at it real quick. But yeah, no, that's the new camera icon, and I like it. I think it's really cool.
Hey, Greg, out of curiosity, in the Photos app, has the editing module changed at all?
Not really, but
It doesn't look like Photomator or anything like that's been incorporated into the standard editing module. Okay.
Yeah. It's a little more fluid in how it works, I guess you could say, but it pretty much looks the same. It has, let's see, it has a different. Okay, let me get my screen back.
Yeah, the only thing they really showed with the photo app was the fact that you could toggle down below between library and full for the photos. Okay, yeah.
So up here it has copy edits, paste edits, that appearance, extensions, that sort of thing. My camera's not focusing very well. There we are. But and I'm using my iMac camera this time, not my iPhone as I usually do here, so the picture quality is not going to be as good. But as far as editing features itself goes, no, there's no histogram, there's none of that stuff.
Okay.
Now I will say that if you do like swipe up and get the info on whatever the subject is, I think it's a little quicker and a little more accurate. Because when I did this fern, I swiped up and it tells you, Boston sword fern. Before it would say, look up plant.
Oh, it automatically
tap on it.
Automatically had it done.
Now it's giving you the title. So that's interesting. But what I let's see here. I'll go back to the screen share and okay, so here's the camera interface. Okay, so we kind of got a hint at this here. This is what happens when you tap on the photo button down at the bottom here.
Okay.
And you get this interface here. Now, this was with Hike selected as the file format. So you've got the options that would go with it. So portrait mode intensity right there at the bottom center.
Okay, I was wondering what intensity was. Okay,
and then you've got your live photos, flash, your EV, your photographic styles, your filters, all that stuff.
I think that's nice. So it doesn't just clog the top of the screen.
Yeah. If I was to go up here and tap on the file format, this pops up at the top. And then if I was to select RAW, then some of these would disappear.
Right.
Like the styles one would disappear and the intensity one would disappear.
And
then you would,
and live also.
And live and maybe even filter. You would end up with just the things that you can use with shooting Pro RAW, basically. It's basically Pro RAW on the iPhone. So it's very intelligent in how like they're pretty smart by making things work with what needs to work, right? And at the bottom here, you got photo and video. But if you swipe on that left or right, then all your choices come up, your pano, your portrait mode, all that stuff. But because it's mostly just photo or video, those are the only two that you see right away.
And I think that's a big
cool
help.
thing.
I think that's a big help too.
I think so, yeah.
Even though it would be nice, because just looking at the screen, you don't know to swipe left or right to see more options. It looks like you only have the two options, video or photo. So it would be nice to have some kind of bleed over or, you can see the little bit of the next one maybe, so there's more over there.
Yeah. And again, this is early days.
Right.
They may incorporate something into that, because I know in the Mail app, they've done that over the last few months, right? Where it used to have if you used categories in Mail, you'd have your announcements or your notification, different categories for your different kinds of email, right? And then I think in the latest one, and this is the public release, and this is not a beta thing, there's a little hint of a button there where you think, okay, what's that? Then you slide it, and then there it is.
Yeah.
So they may incorporate something like that into, this part of the camera interface. So then at the top, okay, you've got your file formats and that, and then you can toggle over between 48 megapixel and 24 megapixel is what I have set for standard for hike. If it was RAW, then it would have 48 here and 12 here, because those are the only two that are available for RAW.
Do you need to have preserved settings on to have it that way, or will it remember it? Do you know?
Oh, I think it remembers it because
like last used.
I think it. No, you're not good. This damn dog. There, get your 15 seconds of fame. Wait till I get the screen changed here.
No, I won't.
There we go. Here's get your 15 seconds of fame. She must have seen another dog outside.
Now, I want to say that at least in the current one, you can select whether to keep, use what was open last or default to something else.
Yeah, that's still there.
Okay.
That option is still there. I think I've actually may have it toggled turned on. But there was another. Well, okay. Let me get through this here first before I can go all over the map with this. So in the so that's the camera interface. So this is a picture I took of a fern outside, Pro RAW with the wait.
Oh, you got to give us a warning before you put yours.
Yeah, I know. Right?
Yeah.
Before I put my ugly mug up there. Okay, no, this was a 1X, like the main camera, Pro RAW file. Now there's a feature called spatial scene, and it comes up on every picture. And because I got to change it to, I did a screen recording. So now I'm going to show that.
Did that change it to a JPEG from a RAW file?
Or was it a video?
Good question. No, it's still RAW. It's still RAW. Now I got to select the window. Here it is. Okay, now this, I'm hoping I got it here. There we go. Okay, so when I play this, how am I going to play this? Oh, I know. I got to go over here. There we go. So I'm going to play this. And what it does is okay, so you know how Facebook has these 3D pictures? Mm-hmm. You can kind of go back and forth, and they really look terrible. This is basically that, except it does it a lot better. So there's an icon up here at the very top. Keep an eye on there, because that's going to open up, and you're going to see spatial scene when I tapped it when I was doing the screen recording. So there it is there, spatial scene. It kind of, when you first do it, it sends like an overlay, a really, really light overlay over it, like it's scanning it sort of. And then it changes it into this spatial scene thing where, and now all I'm doing is I'm wiggling my phone around, and it's got that really cool, like I just took this as a normal picture. And now if you go too far, you'll see, back in behind, it'll get blurry, but it does such a good job.
So can you stop it at a certain point and that's your photo? I mean, does that help you with composition and still maintain the RAW file?
No, all it does is give you this
the 3D look to
effect.
It.
So it's going to default to the original frame.
I believe it does. Yeah, because if we watch this video, there's the beginning, and then it brings up this spatial scene thing here.
So it moves on its own.
I can twist my phone around like this, and then I can see it.
Yeah.
I can see it doing just what you saw there on the screen.
Now, I do wonder, like for the Facebook one, where if you create a 3D picture in Facebook, you don't have to be on a mobile device. You can do it on the desktop and then use your mouse to move around. It basically does
it for you, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I wonder if it'll be the same thing where you'll be able to post this, let's say, to Instagram somehow. Or if it's
I don't know.
only if you're holding the phone, like, here's my phone and look at the 3D image, or will you be able to post it somewhere? Is the question, or convert it to a video?
They showed it. I believe they only showed it as wallpaper.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you can export these things as anything, as an, well, okay. So now that I've done that in the photo, yeah, I mean, you just press that little button again and you got that effect as long as you want until you turn it off again.
Greg,
Now,
what is
let's
that
see,
blue button at the top, the icon?
Or is
that's the button there.
Okay, that's the one that plays
That's the button.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the one that
okay.
So if you watch from the beginning again, you'll see it's gray because I haven't done it yet.
Yep.
Now it's blue because it's activated. And then if I press it again, then it goes back to gray.
Okay.
So it's a really cool thing. And you don't have to, it works on old pictures, ones that you've taken previously. It doesn't have to be a newly taken photo in the new operating system. I could take a picture from who knows how far back. Let's see.
Wonder if it bases its calculations off of the focal point of the photo.
Okay, let's see here. I'm going to.
Also, I wonder if this would be available on how old, you have the newest model. If you have an older model, or if you have a model.
Well, this was on the 15 Pro Max, right? So
true.
It's not the newest one.
Well, no, but it's the one that would have all the latest most of the latest features still. But I'm thinking if you have a non-pro model, could you do that, or do you need the extra ones or not?
I don't.
Yeah.
If I had to guess, Dave, it's for everything.
That would be nice.
Picture of a mushroom.
Yeah.
Picture of a mushroom.
Uh-huh.
The button's there. See how it put that overlay on it?
Mm-hmm.
And now it's very subtle, but the effect is there.
I mean, that's cool to look at, but what's the use case, I guess?
It's cool to look at.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
that's what I haven't figured out yet.
One thing to remember, a lot of times Apple will put something out like this that's cool to look at so people will use it, but it may become useful in a year or two. In the past they have put they have put things like not necessarily photography related, but the ability to use a mouse or a cursor was originally accessibility. And then they rolled that out, made sure it worked okay, and then they rolled it out to everyone where with an iPad you can just use the mouse and keyboard.
The biggest use case for that, I think, is going to be on the Vision Pro.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Right? And because not everybody is going to have a Vision Pro, and I don't know. I mean,
I don't see myself wearing one of those.
I don't see myself doing that either. But
I can see.
But the technology had already started, right? Because you can isolate subjects as of the current phone, right? You can hold down your finger on a subject and turn it into a sticker. So now this is just taking that a step further, I think.
Exactly, and it may be a way that they put this out to see how far they can push it and see what can work or not, and a way to get people to use it. This a lot of times this isn't the end all be all. We're not doing this just to create this, but here's what we can do right now that's splashy that we're working on for a year or two down the road. But this is a nice mile marker to show we are actually what we have, and this is what we're shipping.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's cool to look at, but probably not something that I would use.
Yeah,
at least at least now. But what Dave's saying is maybe it's leading to something down the road.
Yeah, at this point, it's gimmicky, and I believe they probably just wanted to flex some muscle, I guess.
They need to flex some muscles.
Yeah. Stock went down. Just on a side note, Apple stock went down $5 as soon as they said Apple Intelligence. It looked that way. I'm looking on the stock app, and it took a $5 dive, and it was right shortly after 1 p.m. Eastern, which is when the thing was on.
That honestly, that's normal.
Shane says, "Morning, gents. This message was written by Apple AI from the year 2030." Yeah. It doesn't surprise me. So, on the topic of Apple Intelligence, they've revamped their image playground to incorporate ChatGPT. The workings of ChatGPT with generating images. So there's the original photo. I know I should have warned you, but there's the original photo of me, and then I got ChatGPT, or I took it. I got Image Playground to make a version of it, and I believe it was just selected as animated or whatever. And this is what they gave me. It's so much like a freaking photo. It's unbelievable. Yeah. So I think Image Playground might be somewhat useful, maybe. I don't know if I'd have a use for it or not, but and then I added the prompt, taking a picture with a phone, and if it doesn't put an iPhone in there.
Of course.
Usually it's a generic type phone, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it put an iPhone in there. Yeah, so I don't know.
But I'll also say this. We don't know what Apple's putting into those prompts, if they're putting anything into the prompts or massaging the prompts before it goes off to ChatGPT. Not nefariously, but...
No, but I mean, yeah, I don't know.
You guys have fun with that one. This stuff freaks me out.
Yeah, it's not something that I didn't use it much to begin with.
Yeah.
So I think that's all the screenshots I've got to go here to show. But yeah, Shane says, so Shane put that message up there, and then Dwight responded with, "Morning, Shane. What time is it there?" Hold on a sec. Let me ask Bixby. Shots fired. But it's so early, and I always like to get these episodes out on WWDC day as soon as I can, and get talking about it as soon as we can, just because everybody's covering it, right? But I almost wish that I could wait a day or two just to get more notes put together and stuff like that. But now, what the heck? It's early. It's cool looking. The glassy interface is really neat. It's very familiar. There's a lot of familiarities carrying over from iOS 18 to the new 26, and everything's big 26 now, right down to watchOS. But in some ways, it's disappointing. I think we were talking about how we wish there was like pro features built into like what were they going to do with Photomator and things like that, right? It would have been nice to see a little more oomph in some of these apps, and who knows, maybe that'll come at some point. But
of course, they may
after see what. Yeah, go ahead, Dave.
The amount, even though Apple is a massive company, it's not massive in terms of like when everyone hired so much 5 years ago, Apple didn't. So when everyone laid off last year, Apple didn't have to lay off a bunch of people. But I also mean Apple's engineering teams are not so massive they can work on everything at once. So I think when you're talking about the changes they made to the operating system, not only, the look is different, but the fact that they had to make sure it worked across all their operating systems and had to have that universal look to it and feel, that takes a lot, and to make sure it works. Like you said, you downloaded it works on your phone. It isn't just it looks pretty, but it looks nicer, a little more modern, and it works. It basically works. It's not crashing on you every 5 seconds or anything like that. Yeah, I agree with Shane. But
says, I don't think Apple will ever put manual controls in the camera. It was never designed to do that. So he doubts that'll ever change. And I agree. Yeah.
But we'll have to see. Right. Yeah, we'll have to see what the variable aperture mentioned was. There is a
Yeah, so just expand on that just a little bit, Dwight. You heard that where and about what?
I didn't hear it really
Or you read
anywhere
it?
in the keynote today when they were playing with when they brought the settings for the camera up. It had an aperture was right in the middle, and I know that the iPhone has a fixed aperture, so I was interested in why that was there.
Okay. I wonder if that was portrait mode,
Well,
because portrait mode shows that.
it does say.
Let me go to the new portrait mode and see.
Did it actually say aperture or f-stop? 9to5Mac is saying that there may be a variable aperture coming out with the 17 models. Whatever that means, that's rumor at this time. So I kind of put the two together.
Did it look like this?
No, it said aperture.
Okay. Did it look like this?
Is that aperture in the middle on the top?
Yeah.
Yes.
It says aperture.
Okay,
It actually says text.
That's what I saw.
Okay.
So that's portrait mode?
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got that in yours right now without even going to the new iOS. Because what that does is that just brings up the aperture adjustment at the bottom of the screen there, where you can change the fake aperture of the of the look of the image. It's just like so to access that, there's this series of 6 dots up here in the right top left-hand corner. And then let me see here. Yeah, so that's where your options come up. And because I'm shooting portrait mode, the portrait mode options are there. So you still got your timer, your flash, and that sort of thing.
Yeah. So what I read was the new 17 Pro models may have a variable aperture that will allow probably a greater adjustment of the depth of field. With a variable aperture, you have more control over the depth of field than on current models, which come with a wide fixed aperture. This allows the small iPhone sensors to get enough light. The aperture can change size with larger cameras depending on the desired area the photographer wants in focus. So that's why I was kind of putting those things together. But if they do that, we're getting closer to, you would think that you would have more pro controls or something like that if they were doing that.
Yeah.
But I think that's going to be hardware related, that capability.
Yeah. I mean, Samsung tried that once and then it went away and never came back. Because all it did was slide this thing, to make a smaller opening. And I honestly don't know how, with the tight area that you have, the small area that you have in there for the physics of the sensor and all that stuff and the lenses and everything else, I just don't know how it must not have been very effective, because they did it once and never did it again. Maybe they, Samsung, they've got to be the first one to try stuff, right? And that's not a slam. That's just, I think that's just the way I see it. They tried new things like the foldable phones and all that stuff. And that's good for the marketplace because, they're doing it. They're out there, they're trying this stuff. But what did Shane say here? Apple already do their best portrait mode. I doubt they will bring out a mechanical aperture in the 17. I have my doubts too. No matter what the rumors are, I have my doubts. Wait, will it be the 17 or the iPhone 25? Yeah, that
it could be the iPhone 26. It wouldn't shock me.
Could be. iOS 18 went to 26, so iPhone 16 could go to 24, 25.
Honestly, like I said,
this is just a rumor from 9to5Mac.
Okay.
That's all I'm pointing out.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, the funny thing about rumors is with these iOS features, all the rumors that we've heard near the end, like,
we're all pretty
within the last couple of weeks, they were pretty spot on. John Prosser from FTP or FATP or whatever he calls his YouTube channel, he showed the first video of the camera interface, and it's not far from being off. Like it may be dead on. I don't know, but it was very, very accurate in its in how they showed it, and they had to put a video together, I think, to make it look that way because they couldn't show the actual thing that they either got a hold of or leaked out.
Yeah, they said they
whatever.
had to recreate it because if they showed the original, it would kind of give away where they got the information from.
Kind of like leaving an iPhone
like
4
that.
in a bar.
But honestly, the numbering is completely arbitrary. Let's not forget that. I mean, the fact that they're going to a yearly numbering, no one thought it was, well, it noted a big deal of change when Windows went from 3.1. Am I froze up? Okay. I'm froze up on my end, so I just want to make sure I wasn't having issues. Okay. Let me give it a second here.
Yep. Oh yeah, you're froze.
You're in slow mo.
Okay, I should be back in a second.
Sounds good.
But like when Windows went from 3.11 to 95, not only was the numbering changed, it kind of said, hey, this isn't anything like that happened before. And when Mac went from, 9, the classic 9 point whatever to OS 10, yes, we're showing huge changes here. So I could see, it's like, okay, this is a major change, but it's all arbitrary. So yeah, they're going to, again, it would make sense because you're like, okay, when did I get my iPhone? I don't know. I have an iPhone 13. When did you buy it? But if you could put a year to it, at least you have an idea. I mean, most people are used to it with cars.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't say this
Macs.
is iMac 13.2 or something. Yeah.
They say the year that the Mac could come out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, I think it's just a matter of time before they change that, that numbering technique with all their hardware. And I think it's a good thing that they did this with the operating systems because we had iOS 18, watchOS 11, macOS 15, iPadOS 18, I guess it was. I mean,
yeah, it's about time.
It was just becoming a hot mess as to figure out when it came out, that type of thing. So putting the year on it, good move. I think that was a good move by Apple. So, anything else that you guys kind of picked up on?
Not really. I mean, the one thing I'm interested to see you try is have they changed especially for the HEIF or JPEG photo, have they changed the behind the scenes processing? Because there are times where you go from, phone to phone, but it's like, oh, this year the photos are a little warmer. This year they're a little bit cooler. Some of that's hardware. Yeah, some of that's hardware, but that's some of that's also.
Oh, I see.
Okay, this is where I take pictures in the operating system, and this is how we're going to process them behind the scenes. And okay, we didn't like the way last year photos were kind of, were too cool and made everything green. We're going to tweak the algorithm behind the scenes, tweak the digital processing to make it look a certain way. Or it was maybe over sharp, and too many people were complaining about, it's sharp, but it's too sharp. So we're going to change the processing and make these photos a little, different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I will do some comparison shots. I'll do it in JPEG. I'll do it in HEIC. I'll do it in ProRAW. I'll even do it in Bayer RAW, one phone to the other. Not that I think it's going to make any difference on that one, but just to see if anything happens, and I'll get some comparisons and see what they look like.
Greg, have you seen anything different in the Photos app? Because I know it was collections, and was it libraries? Does anything look different there? Yeah, collections and libraries. Does it look?
Yeah. So you've got I've got a nasty reflection.
Oh, it's good now. So it's good right there.
You've got your library, and then you've got your collections.
Okay. So
whereas before on
you guys had the square to library, you had to scroll past everything to get to. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you just scrolled down, then you got into your different things here. Now, I haven't come across, let's see here, under collections, I don't see, okay, there they are. The, the media types and all that
looks
stuff.
a little different, though. It does look a little bit
stuff
different
is all down there at the bottom. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, just the buttons.
But there's a reorder button there, right? So you can reorder things. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there is some differences, yeah. But it's nice to see that, you can just have it on your library only. That's old school. That's what a lot of people liked and missed. Or you can jump over to collections and then you can start looking around different things. But yeah, it's as far as the I think I mentioned it earlier, it's pretty rock solid. Like, it's really stable so far. I don't think I've had anything go wrong in anything I've tried so far. Now, mind you, I haven't tried all the camera apps that I have, but I have tried Reflex and it worked flawlessly. It was no problem at all. What Shane got going here? Do you see a use case for that 3D photo function? I think it's Shane. Are you drinking?
Yeah, it's 9:30 in the morning.
He thinks it's Tuesday morning at 9:30, and maybe not a bad time. Maybe a good reason to drink.
Well, he knows it's almost 5 here. Yeah, he knows it's almost 5 here, so he's good.
Yeah, we kind of talked about that a little bit, Shane. What the heck would you use that for? One thing that it can be used for is wallpapers. You can get that effect right in your wallpaper. But beyond that, I don't know. Vision Pro can see that stuff a lot better than we can on a phone screen.
And like I said,
but other than that, I don't know. Oh, he did.
And like we said, this could just be first grab of something.
But
thing to remember is Vision Pro isn't the end all be all. There's going to be a Vision Pro 2. There's rumors of regular glasses looking. So this could be Apple saying, okay, we have this here. This is the next step, or we're going to, do, or it could just be, hey, here's something neat that you can show off. That's a really good thing to show off to people. If you have if you have something new, they don't. You can say, "Hey, look what I can do," and they go, "Wow, I want to do that." Spur sales. Sometimes you just have pretty stuff on your phone, and people go, "Ooh, shiny, pretty." How do I do the shiny, pretty that you can do? It's marketing.
Okay, I just put in our group chat on iMessage that picture of the fern. I have my doubts that you guys will be able to do anything with it, but I just want to experiment here just to see if
no,
there's that little button doesn't show up at the top. Probably not. I guess it's definitely going to be an iOS thing.
Yeah.
No, I tried opening it.
Yeah, and I'm using my phone. I'm using my phone as my camera, thing. So I can't.
Yeah. Okay.
See if it says it may do something.
Okay.
I doubt it.
No, that's okay. Yeah, I really doubted. I really doubted that you guys would be able to do anything with that, like in the same respect that I can do it with this one. But sometimes you just got to experiment. But there was one other thing that I wanted to mention. I can't think of what it was. Yeah,
was it camera related?
It was either camera or photography related. Boy, oh boy. Yeah, I might have to edit this part out of the audio because this is going to be a long, silent part. But no, I just can't think of what it was offhand. I'm pretty sure it had something to do with a photo or something. But anyway, if I remember, maybe I can add it in later. But yeah, no. So yeah. Anything
right
else?
now.
Any other questions or at this point so far?
Yeah, I know to play with it really to kind of dig in a little bit more, but I don't want to risk it with my existing phone.
No, absolutely.
I like
not.
some of the other
like
stuff
said,
that came out. We don't need to talk about it too much here. Like call screening and a few other things I think will be useful.
Yeah, that's not really for this audience too much, but so in Bloody Legends, like in Shane's Facebook group, there's a bunch of us admins that are in a group chat on Facebook Messenger. And as soon as these betas became available, screenshot come up. So Devo, he's one of the guys. That's his nickname, Devo. And iPhone going in, iPad going in, watch going in. He's updating all his stuff to 26.
His primary stuff.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
He doesn't use them for work, obviously. So but you know what? This stuff's been pretty darn stable right from day one for the last couple of years. I mean, even so, Aaron Zolo, who runs Zolotech, the YouTube channel, he put a thing on X saying, "Is anybody updating their daily driver to iOS 26?" And I took a quick look at the comments, and there were some people that said, "Nope, no way, no, won't do that." But there was a few people that said, "Oh yeah, it'll be more stable than iOS 18 was." And let's face it, 18 was pretty buggy, right?
18.5 is really buggy for some people.
Yeah. So, there's a bunch of people putting it in their daily drivers already. And if I didn't have this second phone, I might be one of them. Just because of this show, right? It's because of this podcast. That's probably why I do it. But now, how long will I wait before I put it on my 16? I'm not sure. I remember what I was going to say. Visual intelligence has been revamped. So before, with the 16 with the camera control, or with the 15s with the action button, you can program the action button to trigger a visual intelligence. Now, visual intelligence will work with a screenshot, which is interesting. You could take a screenshot of something you see on a website or whatever, and visual intelligence you can ask about it.
You can actually use and highlight. It showed them highlighting something on the screen. So you can say, "This, what is this?" Or you could say this, and where can I find it to buy? And it'll pop up like Google or eBay or Pinterest if you have all those installed. It'll say, "Here's where we found it." You can select where to find it from.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a step beyond that, it's almost already in your cart with an option to pay.
Yeah. I'm just responding.
Sure, Apple will get a piece of that.
Yeah. I don't use visual intelligence that much at all, really. In the little hick town that I live in, you pretty much know when everything is going to be open or closed and all this stuff, as far as getting hours. If you're walking by, you take a picture of the sign, that type of thing. I mean, if I was to go to different cities quite often, I would probably use it more in those places. But now that you can do it with a screenshot, boy, if you see someone wearing like a jacket or a hat or something like that you're interested in, want to know more about it, you can just take a screenshot and ask about it, type of thing.
Well,
so that could be good.
use it occasionally.
Beyond
like
that,
there was
I don't know.
plant outside of the restaurant, and we were like, "Okay, what is this?" I used the visual intelligence, did the Google search on it, didn't ask a question, just did Google search, and it popped up what it was. And a lot of time, you can, let's say you see a poster for an event that you're interested in. If you bring up visual intelligence, you can create an event in your calendar and it will read the poster. So that's a nice thing. Or, or even if you like going to thrift stores and you see something in a thrift store, you're like, "Okay, I'm not familiar. What is this?" In terms of brand or something. You can do a little that and pull it up. Oh, no, and I agree with Shane about Apple playing catch-up here. They are, with AI and things like this, they are definitely playing catch-up. And I think they were caught flat-footed.
Oh, yeah.
And last year was a panic release for AI. Because they saw things, they heard people saying Apple's falling behind. We got to get something out, and then there was a behind-the-scenes clash of personalities, and things didn't work out the way they should have. But luckily, and I heard someone say this, and I'm trying to think, for other platforms, I don't think there's anything else out there that let's say if you're an average Apple user, you're going to say, oh my goodness, look what they can do on Pixel. I'm going to switch over from my Apple to a Pixel, or I'm going to switch over to a Samsung. They're Apple's behind, but like we say with a lot of these AI features, you're like, there are cases where you can say, yes, I want to do this. I can see where this is useful, but you're not going to say, this is what I want. Oh, I live or die. I'm going to use this, and the fact that OpenAI is going to come out with a phone or something that they bought from Johnny Ive sometime. Yeah. Oh no, I understand. Yeah, Shane just saying he's saying that because he's gone Samsung now. Yeah, and like I said, I don't think Apple can say this is new. This is new for iPhone. In fact, I'm waiting, and I'm surprised I didn't look too closely, but a bunch of Android people who are saying, "Oh, you finally have this feature. Glad you have it finally. I've been doing this for the last 5 years or something like that." Which when there's something new in Android that's brand new, and Apple people will say, "Oh, I can do that already." It's back and forth. Hopefully, keep it nice. If you're gonna do something like that, keep it a little bit of a, be nice about it. This isn't life or death. Unless you're working at these companies, your job does not depend on who's ahead. So don't take it that seriously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like Shane says, Apple's ahead for some things, in some things for sure.
That's amazing.
Like action mode in the video, nobody, I don't think, can do it as good as Apple does. And, but the biggest thing, my thinking is that the biggest reason Apple's behind in a lot of things is, one, they don't want to put it out until it's ready. And two, a lot of this stuff, they're so privacy oriented that they don't want to, like with Apple Intelligence, it's so far behind because it's all privacy oriented. They got to try to figure out a way to do it without giving your information to anybody else, not even Apple themselves. They got to try to figure out a way to do it, probably on the device. They're just, and I appreciate the fact that their privacy is like that, but they got it. Well, actually, they announced today a way that they're going to try to incorporate to come out with a system where it realizes what's on your calendar and all this stuff, so that it could be a better assistant. And I can't believe they're still saying that Siri is going to improve and stuff like that. Well, that's another sore spot with a lot of people is that the whole Siri thing, because it's not working very well right now. And we'll see,
and Greg,
what happens
before we,
here.
I know we're going to wrap up soon, but talking about the S word, somewhere in the northeast of America, Marsadowski is yelling.
Yes. He's flinching every time somebody says that. So Shane says that the S25 Ultra has action mode, but is not as good. And you can't say they want to. You can't say they want to wait until it's ready. Apple AI, yeah, that'll never be ready in my opinion. At least at the rate they're going. But I don't know. I can't think of anything else offhand that I can talk about, even with having it on here, until I play around with it some more. I will do some of those test shots where compare the processing from like 18.5 to 26. Now, even though it's two different phones, it's like a 15 Pro Max and a 16 Pro Max. I would think that if there's a difference in processing, it should be evident. Should be able to see it maybe, but we'll see. And what I'll do is I'll put some unedited originals in our folder that we drop our audio in, so that you guys can have a look at them too. And just I don't know, maybe we won't see anything, but I don't know. I think that's all I got for now anyway. And, we'll obviously be watching to see how this whole thing goes over time. I'm sure we'll probably talk about it maybe a little bit on every show going forward for a while. And I can't wait to see what you guys think when you do get it on your devices. Dave, with you using the Apple camera almost exclusively, it'd be interesting to get your take on the how you like it, the usability, the UI and all that stuff. And Dwight, I don't know, you got a little tidbit that we're going to talk about off the air about ProRAW. So it'll be interesting to see if there's any change in that when you hit iOS 26.
Yeah, I think I'll show you that after the show today. But I'm really interested in how this software is going to kind of, what the whole system is going to be and what it's going to look like once it's incorporated into the new hardware. I think that's where the rubber is going to meet the road. Right now, I don't have any of this on any of my devices. I can only really go by what I saw today briefly when I had a chance. There's a few cool things that look nice. Obviously it's a big fresh coat of paint. I'm going to have to really kind of dig in and understand, everything to really see what we can get out of it.
Yeah. And, Apple's always been about looking nice and looking fancy and all that stuff. And I really think they've kind of outdone themselves with this. It's a nice change. The last time they had a big change was going from iOS 6 to iOS 7. So, how many years ago was that? That's 12 years ago, 11 years ago, whatever it is.
Time's flying.
And yeah. And so it's nice to see that they've made a change. It's not, again, there's so many things that are familiar. So it's not going to throw people for a real big loop, I don't think, when they go from 18.5 to 26. You're still going to be very familiar with your phone. It'll have a nice refreshed look to it though. And, there are a few little things that will work differently, like maybe, menu selections and that sort of thing. But look what they did with just, kind of on a 30-second tangent here. Look what they did with iPad OS 26. They've got floating windows now. It's almost like a
major
Mac.
change there. Yeah.
So that's I have a feeling that's going to be huge for iPad users. I don't have one. My wife does. So when iOS 26 goes on that, I'll be hogging it from her for a little bit just to play around with it to see how it goes. But it's a nice refreshing change, and we'll see how things go. With anything photography related, we'll see how developers will incorporate this new stuff with their apps. It got released to them today, so hopefully they're sitting clicking away on their keyboards trying to figure out what they can do to help their apps and make them look nice and even work better. And we'll see. So
and we might see some updates between now and release date. Obviously, there may be new features. They may take some away. So
possibly, yeah. And if you're kind of into this thing, you can go to the WWD or the Apple developer website, and you can kind of browse through these presentations that they're doing. Excuse me. And you might even be able to pick a little thing or two up. Like we've mentioned this before, Dave, where you go through these videos on WWDC's or the Apple developer website, and they might talk about little things that could hint to the new hardware in the fall. But that's how I basically learned how portrait mode works. There was a talk at the developer conference where they explained way back with the iPhone 7 how portrait mode works, and I found it very interesting.
It's not for general public. It's developed. Same thing with the state of the platform.
Really get a grip of what they're saying.
Speech, because that's longer. Believe it or not, longer.
Yeah,
much more detailed. It's not for. I don't want to say not for general public, but it's not formatted for end users. It's an idea to show for developers, what the platforms are. So it could be things that just,
Yeah. And it's like putting the beta on a phone. It's not for everybody. You have to be prepared to completely erase your phone if something goes wrong with it, right? So that's why I'm definitely starting with a backup.
Yeah.
And
I'm not in a rush.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything that compelling that would make anybody rush into it for sure.
Yeah.
So anyway, okay. Well, thanks, guys. We kind of went a lot longer than I thought we would talking about this stuff, but I'm glad we mentioned everything that we did, and we'll definitely keep an eye on things as they go. And stay tuned, folks. So next week, regular show at regular time. This was a kind of a special edition, and guess we'll see everybody then.
Have a great, everyone.
Take care, everyone.